everyone, and welcome to Vestibular Voices. We're here with our usual panel: Pat, Marissa, Heather, Joy, myself, Dave, and we have a new person, Isabel, who I will introduce in a few minutes. But tonight's topic is going to be about stress and how it affects all of us with Meniere's, vestibular migraines, any type of vestibular order. Stress is really not a great thing for us. And sometimes stress comes and we don't expect it. It can happen in a snap of a finger, and I will explain that one a little later. But right now, we're going to introduce Isabel and welcome her to our group.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming to this nice, beautiful vestibular family. My name is Isabel. I've been dealing with chronic vestibular migraine for a little over 10 years now. And yeah, just excited to join the group and kind of share, the journey.
Welcome.
Is there anything else you want to say, or
that's it?
Okay. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about stress and how it affects us. In my case, as all of them know, my daughter-in-law passed away 3 weeks ago, and you want to talk about going from no stress to stress. It changed, and sometimes when you're in that position, like with me, the adrenaline kicks in, and then that takes over, and you just go and go and go. But eventually, like the last couple of days, then I start getting, I start getting vertigo, and the tinnitus is ramping up, and all these things. But it's still stressful in the house because now I get three people living here that weren't living here before. Every day is a new experience, and it is kind of fun having the grandkids here because we get to see them all the time. But it's for the wrong reasons, and stress has always been a thing with me, whether it come on headache or vertigo or Meniere's and things like that. And usually handling it can be even tougher, especially where like before it was I would go for a walk and I would walk anywhere from 5 to 9 miles. Now it's, if I walk down the street, I might have a cop pull me over and pull over and ask me if I'm okay. Because I'm stumbling a bit. But how do you guys deal with stress and like a sudden onset of it too, where your life just automatically changes in a second. Does anybody else want to?
I've been kind of like Dave. I had it's kind of been on and off this year, but with my mom and my dad kind of, they just gotten older and they've had some medical issues. And then my mom needed a surgery recently. So again, I was kind of thrown back into that and, having to drive every day to the hospital, which was a little farther than the other hospital we were at this summer. So, and like Dave, the adrenaline definitely kicks in and I go, go, go. And then I crash. And I would say the last probably 3-4 days have been kind of more of a crash, where I'm a little more symptomatic and just tired and trying to figure out what just happened the last couple weeks. So trying to just, take a little time for myself if I can, try to do something that I like to do, maybe listen to a podcast. I like taking the dog outside to walk, try to do that. Try to drink extra water, like watch what I'm eating, and also just talking to someone about it, I think helps. We've all talked about how, all of us are great support for each other. So, trying to let others know too, like, hey, if I'm struggling, this is going on or whatever. So yeah, it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
No, I agree with what Marissa said. That's what I do in times of stress. And last year, this is what brought my symptoms on, or excuse me, 2021 is what brought my symptoms on. My dad came. It was too overwhelming for me. It was stressful, and I wasn't talking about the stress. I was trying to tell myself, I got this. I'm fine. Well, my body was just taking in all of that stress, and it led to a really bad vestibular migraine relapse. So I've tried to learn from that situation, ask for help. You know, you got a puppy last December. It sounds pretty benign, like, oh, that's not a big deal. It's challenged me, and I've learned to ask my family for help. Again, hydrate, remember to eat. You know, that's when you go through these stressful situations, that's probably one of the first things you do is forget to eat. And so just trying to make myself small meals, remind myself, even if it's just a sandwich or something, so I don't get lightheaded. And again, extra water.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to take a rescue med too, like
Yeah.
Valium. Yesterday, the perfect example. I wasn't feeling too hot in the morning, but functional, and noise is actually a trigger for me too.
Yeah.
But Susie started. My granddaughter started screaming out something, and I don't know what the pitch was, but I just dropped. And then for 2 or 3 hours afterwards, I was spinning and spinning, and I ended up taking a Valium and sleeping and drinking water the rest of the day. But whether it was the screaming, whether it was me coming down from all the stress of the 3 weeks, I can't decipher, but stress is a trigger.
Yes. Yeah.
Saying sound for me is a trigger. So either or, I don't know. But even the week before, nothing was happening, and all of a sudden I get hit. And yeah, I think I took a meclizine at that time, just as my stomach was bothering me at the same time. And yeah, just rest and drink water to get out of it, but to try to relieve it before attack happens. Yeah, I got a little pedal thing under the desk. I try to do that, but I whack my knees all the time. So I'm looking at getting a treadmill to put behind me, and then I could put something on here for Netflix or whatever and watch it while I'm walking. So at least I'm not outside and don't have to worry about hearing cars coming behind me and things like that. But
The weather, because the weather is a trigger for us, extreme cold or extreme heat.
And I was wondering that too, because Saturday night we had the thunderstorms that you guys got in Chicago.
Yeah.
We had it Saturday night. Yeah, we had it Saturday night. And I don't know, maybe that was it too. I don't know.
Guys,
Spent 2 hours recording a mass, so who knows? I just could have been burned.
I agree with everything you guys are saying about stress. I know that I've been trying to stuff my stress down and not show it. And I think that amplifies my symptoms even more. I don't know why we do that, but we do. And not only the bad stress, but the good stress, the exciting stuff, the good stress, like going to a party or trying to do something, sometimes that is way too much also, like working yourself up to something. And I find that brings on symptoms too. It's just learning to kind of find that even keel, which is not always easy, but yeah. So that good stress is bad too.
Yeah, well, the weather's been a big trigger for me lately, and the headache gets worse. I'm off all meds now, which I guess it really doesn't matter. It wasn't helping anyway. And then I had a bad reaction to the Lyrica, so that was pretty stressful for me. Yeah, and that I agree, noise is also a trigger for me that causes stress. In large crowds, like at the kids' football games or basketball games, I get the noise and then the crowds coming at me. But sometimes I do okay and other times I don't. So Just got to figure it out, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's definitely
yeah. Go
tough.
ahead. Isabel.
Oh, it's okay. I was just saying
No,
it's
go ahead. Go
definitely
ahead. Go ahead.
tough. It's definitely quite tough, to deal with stress, depending on whether it was even sudden or if it's something gradual. Yeah, Dave, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it just can be it's and you can't tell when you're going to react or how it's going to happen, or how you're going to feel. One day you go to your kid's football game and you're fine. The next week you go and you start out okay, and in the middle of it, all of a sudden you get late.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's and that's the problem with vestibular stuff. It just doesn't. There's no set pattern. There's no set. Everybody's different.
Yeah, it presents
And
differently too.
yeah, I mean, I did a video recently about how that everybody's different and stuff like that. And when people are trying to argue with me, by messenger, and they won't comment on the video, they won't comment on YouTube, but they'll message me, and they're like, well, everybody has these same symptoms. How could we all be different? Because we all react differently. We're not the same.
We're all different.
It's like onions bother me. If I have raw onions, they bother me. And it doesn't bother my wife. And my wife will say, well, it doesn't bother me. Maybe, I don't know why that couldn't be your problem. I'm like, honey, we're different people. Even though we've been married 30 years, we're different people. We're not the same. I mean,
No.
it's just.
Yeah. And some days I'm able to handle more stress than others. Maybe, hey, I'm well fed or well hydrated. I had a good night's sleep. I can probably handle a little more stress that day than if I was up till 5 and feeling dehydrated. I feel like I just get stressed easily, quicker.
Yes. I become super cranky.
Yeah.
When I don't have enough sleep. And oh yeah, there's been a couple of nights I haven't slept at all, and it just don't bother me the next day. Leave me alone. Let me sit here with my coffee. I'm fine.
And even the duration of stress, like if you kind of have stress for over long term, like it really also affects like your health. In my case, like that's what I sort of experienced where, I was a lot more functional in the past, where I would, typically get dizzy like random times, but I would take like meclizine and can move forward. But then I went through like basically, through COVID here in New York City. I actually lost my grandma, and the first time I lost someone close to me in my family, towards the end of 2019. I ended up getting married, but my husband became very unwell. Then that led to divorce, and that sort of all crumpled together and led to really severe symptoms that I actually never had before. So like now I have an increase in migraine, increase in dizziness last year, and it's sort of improved over time. But it's definitely important to kind of have that self-care, self-love for yourself. Otherwise, things could really spiral down very, very quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So yeah, for me, I mean, therapy was my saving grace at that time, just being unfiltered and open about every single thing. My two best friends who are amazing, they're like my sisters, were there to support me. Meditation, I actually like to meditate at night to kind of calm down a little bit before going to sleep. Going out in open spaces, support groups like for Meniere's or join Marissa's group. They're excellent places to kind of talk about your symptoms. And in my case, because I'm Latina, like I used to actually like grab a broom and just dance when I'm cleaning. So that's another stress reliever for me. So, yeah, little things like that.
Yeah, the little things can do that. They can help relieve some things, relieve some stress. I mean,
Yeah.
to see my 2-year-old grandson, sometimes relieves a lot of stress because the kid's always smiling. I don't think he's ever had a bad day in his life. He's always smiling, and now since he's been living here, he's starting to talk more. He's starting to say sentences more, and just watching him every day, it's like, exposed. So it kind of does bring that stress level down a bit. But it's still, the 5-year-old's always testing us,
Oh yeah.
Can I have a cookie? No. Can I, and ask someone, can I have a cookie? No. Can I have, there's the whole rigmarole. And then you forget because, my oldest is 28, my youngest is 18. So you forget that age and what they were like, but
Yeah. There's a learning curve, and now you have to kind of re-child-proof the house, and you get to watch all the shows now, Dave.
Oh yeah, what's the new thing is Bluey? Some dog.
Paw Patrol.
Oh,
Cocomelon.
those were my kids who watch Paw Patrol. Oh, was it now that? Oh God, Fairly Odd Parents.
Aww.
They found it. My son John found it on Netflix.
Oh.
Now Susie's every day. I want to watch Timmy Turner.
Well, that's a little stress relief, maybe, or maybe
Yeah.
not.
Not when you can start saying lines from the cartoons. And she's like, Papa, have you ever seen this cartoon? I'm like, yes, I've seen it a million times. But this is, they're finding all these old shows now on Netflix. I don't have Netflix. My son John does, and I'm like, that's on Netflix.
Yeah, there's a lot, and that will sometimes, if I am kind of stressed, maybe a good comedy will bring me out of it, or distract my mind for an hour, 30 minutes, something to, and then I'll notice, oh, I'm feeling less tense, a little more relaxed. And like Isabel, yeah, sometimes even though I have tinnitus, I can still listen to music like with headphones, and that helps sometimes just to kind of give that distraction.
Yeah.
The thing that
I have to
helps
go
me
for
a
a
lot-
walk.
Yeah, the thing that helps me a lot with stress, and I hate to say it, but is doing the videos.
Yeah.
Doing all that, recording it and editing and posting. And it's kind of like a stress relief thing because it makes me happy to do it. And I'm learning new things, and so it kind of takes my mind off a lot. And I'm sure now that it's April, I can go fishing now down in the reservoir. So I think my son wants to go tomorrow, so we'll probably go to do some fishing or something at some point in the next couple of days. But it's also Holy Week, so after Tuesday,
Busy.
I might as well set up a cot in the choir loft. But somebody already texted me today, where's the tabernacle? You don't need to know where it is. It's fine. Yeah, but we have to polish it. I did it already. You don't need to touch it. Leave it alone. I'm not playing search and seizure of the church on Wednesday.
I agree.
Do you guys?
Oh, go ahead, Heather. No, go ahead.
I have a question. How do you guys, when you're struggling with your families and it's stress and you're just kind of want some quiet time, how do you present that to your family?
It doesn't work well with here. It's not even working well right now. I can hear Susie at the door. With me, I just kind of have to lock the door and come in here, or for me, sneak out of the house. I've done it quite a few times, where I've just, went out the garage door and in my car.
Yeah.
Come back an hour later, walk in the front door. Where you been? It's driving.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no. Oh, I was gonna say that's a good question, because that's what I was having right before we did the video. The teenager was acting up, so he couldn't watch the dog. So I had to watch the dog till my husband got off, and then it only left me, 45 minutes to get ready. And I mean, I was just mentally not focused when I logged on. But now, again, after a few minutes, I feel relaxed, and so telling my family, look, sometimes I just have to be very direct. And I find if I just give subtle hints, that doesn't work. I have to say, I am dizzy. I need to go lay down. I am not feeling well. I just have to be direct. And then they'll pay a little more attention. Then they take me serious. They're like, oh yeah, go lay down. Why didn't you say so? What?
I did.
Yeah, I think for me, like trying to take a walk, but if I can't and I'm more symptomatic, then usually my family can tell just by looking at my face that I'm not feeling good. And I'll just go to my room, and kind of just have some quiet. That's kind of like where I can shut the door and just kind of have some quiet, because that's what I need, because sometimes the boys, they get loud. I have a teenager too, and they get loud. You just want that quiet, sometimes, because like you guys, noise is definitely a trigger for me.
Yeah. I know for me, I can go in the room and lie down, and for the most part, people, I won't even say anything, they'll know. But once in a while, I get the, can you sign this? Can you look at this? I'm like, what? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, same here. Like I just kind of go to bed and just say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling good. And luckily my family understands. If I'm in like a middle of a event or a reunion, then it gets more complicated because I have to kind of say goodbye to everyone, and I'm like, oh, you can't really even reach for their hand or a hug because you're moving around too much. So just trying to be polite, excuse yourself, say, goodbye from afar, hey, I'm not feeling so well, I'm just have to lie down somewhere.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do, But yeah, I mean, sometimes I could be lying down, my wife would come in and say, sign this, so be signing divorce papers or something, I don't know what I'm signing.
Oh, I know whenever I get off of a shift from work and I am all tense and from the stress of the day and my shoulders are up here, I just have to, I think Isabel mentioned it, just get outside and take my shoes off and, walk in the grass and just really do a body scan just to release all that tension. It's the only way I can get back to feeling halfway decent for the drive home. I know there's a lot of other techniques out there, but that has worked for me when I'm working. That instant kind of release.
Yeah.
Yeah. The breathing helps. The breathing, if I'm having, an intense, stressful situation where I'm somewhere, I'll do the breathing. Sometimes I try to do the square breathing so I can focus on that in my head, and that seems to help bring it down a little, because I can tell when the stress is subsiding, my body temperature will come down.
Yeah, you just tend to get a little hotter with the tension.
That at my age. I don't notice that at my age.
Your age.
You're my age too. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, it was 90 in Austin today, so.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
It hits 55 here in Boston.
Nice.
Supposed to be in the 70s this weekend, though. That'd be nice for Easter.
Really nice.
Yeah.
I'll get to hide the Easter eggs for the Easter Bunny. Easter Bunny's coming back this year. Oh, wonderful.
Well, that's a good stress.
And then Saturday night down to church for the Easter Vigil and come home. Oh, Easter Bunny's here. Oh,
that'll be fun.
Well, like Isabel said earlier, seeking a therapist helped me so much. When I was at my worst, and same thing, I would bottle everything up, all the emotions and things, and going through this like year after year, it's like I couldn't hold it in anymore. And that was just such a good release, just to get it all out there. And so that was a huge help with the stress.
Well, I'm starting therapy on Tuesday, so I'm hoping it helps.
Good.
Yes, I'm so happy for
Yeah.
you.
I did that when I stopped working. About 6 months later, I had started drinking again and just being an overall bear, where it's almost cost me my marriage. And I decided to go to therapy, quit drinking again. I went 30 years, and that happens, and then it's like, 6 months of drinking. So I stopped again, and then got therapy, and realized not just the veneers and not working anymore was causing me depression, is that I've had depression my whole life,
Mm.
and I never knew it. Because when men especially act angrily, act out when they're depressed. And every so often I would be doing this for a month or two, and then everything's fine. But now it's with the coping mechanisms and things that they taught me, and medication, you know, even my wife's like, you're a different person than when I married you. Never mind, you know. So yeah, I think therapy is essential when you have a chronic illness, because
Yeah.
you can't tell me that you're not going to get depressed because you can't, and you're stuck in the house most of the time, or this, that, and the other thing, but you're not depressed. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe some
Yeah.
people are like that. I'm not, but I think there's still that stigma with mental health.
Mhm.
It's more accepted today, but I think there's a lot of stigma with it. And people are like, oh, you see a therapist?
Let me tell you, my therapist sees a therapist and she swears by it. She's like, this is the only way I
Yeah.
can function. It's just someone
Yeah.
to bounce things off of and to show you a different perspective. It's absolutely necessary.
Mhm.
And my therapist said the same thing. I talked to a therapist. There's nothing wrong with it. I said, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. My wife has seen therapists before.
Or a life coach. Yep.
Yeah, she's still, she's in therapy now still, but I never saw anything wrong with it. But, I remember when my mother was alive, I had mentioned it to her that, Diane was seeing a therapist, and she's like, just tell her to be happy. Okay. Did that work for you, Mom? Matt? Because I was, I was the smart ass. I was the one who would
Oh,
right back at her. Her and my dad, it was just like, oh, did that work for you? My mother would be like, ah. But they were, from the Depression era, and they were just a different mindset. But now it's more socially accepted. Um, but still it's a stigma, around some of the old people. And sometimes you see videos on Facebook, on YouTube, and you're like, why that can be posted on Facebook, but if I say the F word, my video gets flagged. Come on.
Therapy is
Yeah.
just another tool in your toolbox to help, and I think that's what all 6 of us have been doing, going through these issues, is learning different ways to cope. So when we do have an unexpected stress, you're still going to feel it, but you can handle it better than you did in the past.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so much better to handle things this way than the way I used to, So yeah, therapy and it's a stress reliever too. Because when I was going all the time, I would come home and sleep the rest of the day. I was so burnt out from
Yeah.
letting everything out,
Yeah.
And more people too, like your friends and things, they need to listen too, and a lot of times we don't get that because they don't understand, or they get their own problems, or you know, then you realize who your real friends really are.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day.
That's
But
another one.
yeah, but then you realize who your real friends are, Like my
Yeah.
friend, like some of my friends, oh, you're sick, they don't invite me over. But there's a group of us that every time there's a party or once a month, they're inviting me to go out with them. they know I won't go half the time, but when I show up, they're all excited, and they always check on me,
Dave, what you said earlier about one of your de-stressors is doing these videos. I
Mhm.
think that's a key thing that we always say that we're all a little different. And mine is journaling and writing. If
Mhm.
I'm upset or angry about something, I walk, and if that's not enough, I just sit and just write. And it's just such a stress reliever for me. But I know some people be like, ugh, writing, ugh, that would stress me out. So
No,
I
I
think
did that. I did that, Heather, too. I journaled a lot because that was my thing. I was so isolated and I didn't want to burden people with it. So I just held it all in. So when I could finally unload it, to the therapist and if I wasn't talking with the therapist, yeah, I was writing everything down, how I felt. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's a
helped.
good thing.
Mhm.
That's a good thing. It's a journal. I wish I wish I did it, but I'm such a messy
But you
writer.
can
You know,
video journal, Dave, a
video.
personal journal that doesn't go
Yeah,
out there.
yeah, but you know me. I just let it all out. I don't care.
Yeah,
Enter,
you got to share it.
upload.
Like I said, what I said
Mhm.
in one of the chats, my filter was removed 4 years ago. Fuck it. I just let it out. It doesn't. The only person it hurts from holding anything in is me.
Mhm.
It doesn't hurt anybody else. And especially over the last couple of weeks, the last 2 weeks, and people are always asking me, "Oh, how did Brandy die? How did Brandy die?" We don't know. Stop asking me. Stop asking me 3 times a day. I had one cousin, they weren't calling to see how I was doing. They weren't going, "Hi, Dave, how you guys handling everything? You okay? You need anything?" It was, "Oh, hey, Dave, how did Brandy die?" And it would be 4 or 5 times a day until finally I was like, delete, block. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And then their sisters calling saying, "Oh, why'd you block my sister?" "For the same reason I'm blocking you now, because I know what you're about to ask me." Like, I can't deal with it.
Bad.
I don't need that stress, and it's none of your business. Who cares why she died at this point? She's gone.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
none of your business.
Set your boundaries.
Yeah. I don't
You
care.
know?
And half the mother side of my family don't want anything to do with me. So be it. I don't care. I never got along with them anyways. They're all old enough to be my parents. What do I care? You know? Seriously, I didn't have nothing in common with my first cousins. They're all a generation older than me. I went to school with their kids. So it's like, you know, but the kids seem to do better. They'll ask me once and that'll be it. "Oh, okay. Well, if you feel like telling us, let me know." Yeah, no problem. You know, don't call me back. Or, their kids will call me. "Hey, how you feeling? You need anything? You want us to cook for you?" They're kids, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah, put
But
yourself
that could be
first.
stressful when you're hearing that same question over and over and over, 4 or 5 times a day by multiple persons, people, whatever. I'm not very good at the English language, even though it's my language, um, but yeah, I mean, 4 or 5 times a day, multiple people asking the same question. It's like run out in the middle of the street and fly down after a while. It's crazy. But that's stress. I mean, and that has been a lot of the stress that I've been dealing with. That's, plus getting used to situation here, which getting used to here isn't that bad. But hearing that all day, and there's times I'm shutting my phones off, shutting my phone off and praying you guys need something or something, I hope they don't need anything, so I'm shutting my phone off. Not need like you guys do anything for, but I just can't be there right now. I have to shut the phone off,
We get that.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to take care of you.
I didn't want you guys to take it in a way of like, we're bothering Dave, because you guys don't bother me at all, and I'm willing to do anything for you. If Heather wanted me to, get down to Florida because she, was really having a hard time with Meniere's, I'd be down there in a heartbeat. Well, maybe longer than a heartbeat, but you know what I'm saying. Instant transmission.
With your fishing pole, right?
Oh, 2 of them. Oh, good. And then you'd have to teach me how to do the paddle board.
Oh,
I've been working on my balance lately, so
Yeah, that's a
We
good one
want the
to
video
work on.
of that.
yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
stress.
The other day, my granddaughter was showing me but a thing she was doing, I think in one of her dance classes. Stand on your left foot, and you have to hook your right foot up to your knee in like a four. Looks like a four. And I'm balancing on my left, and my left is really the one that I don't have no balance at all. But I was standing there holding nothing and balancing on that foot. So I was like,
Aw.
you know,
Yeah.
maybe I can get back on a motorcycle. Maybe I can get back on the surfboard again. You know, I used to do a lot of
Yeah.
surfing when I was younger. I'd love to do it again.
Mm.
But let's see what time it is. Well, should probably wrap it up. It's been almost a half hour. Anything else anybody wants to mention?
No, no, but if anybody wants to put below what they do for stress relief, I'd like to hear that. Any of
Yeah.
our listeners, I would love
I'd
that.
like to hear from everyone. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did think of one thing, I'll watch the Vita videos, I'll watch Dave's videos, Heather's interview, Chappiness Guy, Dizzy. I mean, there's so many content creators out there that have made some really good go-to videos. If you're having a bad day, you can just watch it in the privacy of your own home, and you feel better in 10 minutes. I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hopefully this makes someone feel better.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, that's why we do what we do. Help people, make them see if they can make them even happier or give them hope at least.
Mhm.
So I guess if anybody doesn't have anything else they want to say,
No, we missed Ariana tonight.
Pat,
No, I'm good.
you good? Isabel, you good?
Yeah, I guess there's one more thing is important to kind of focus on your outlook also on life. Sometimes you get really down with any vestibular disorder, and sometimes we kind of self-spiral from there, like, oh man, today was a bad day. Maybe tomorrow is going to be a bad day. Maybe the whole week is going to be a bad day. But if you kind of see things a little bit more positively, like, hey, at least I got out of bed, at least I grabbed a spoon of food, that kind of changes your mindset a little bit, and I think that the small wins are important.
Yeah, they are.
Exactly. It's the way you think. It's positive or negative. Getting out of bed. Okay, I got out of bed. I took a shower. All right, I didn't go run a marathon today, or I didn't go to the store, but I got
All
up.
right.
Yeah. Okay, so on that note, we'll end it. And hope you guys enjoyed the video and get something out of it. Let us know in the comments how you guys deal with stress. Would love to hear about it, all of us. And take care, everybody, and there are better days coming soon. So take care, all. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.